Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today is exciting as always. We are going to be touching on and talking about how you as a jumper project, and more specifically as a jumper, can still join a project even after it has already been established. Let's say you've been following a project for a while, or maybe you have tried, you joined a bunch of different projects, but maybe you just couldn't settle on one, and the one that you're really interested in already started, and you're thinking to yourself, man, only if I was there in the beginning, and I just really need to be able to min-max. I have to be there from day one. Or let's say you just started looking for a jumper, you started looking at groups, even you joined ones that were already in progress, days in, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in, right? Maybe they're even ready to go ahead and jump to Final Kingdom, and you're like, man, I wish I could have been in that project. But you get caught up in the moment, maybe thinking to yourself, well, maybe it's too late for me to join. I don't have enough time to prep my account. I'm going to tell you all the reasons on why that is the wrong thinking, and how it does not matter when you join a kingdom that a jump project is going to. And I'll expand on this a little bit in a moment to a later portion on how we kind of tie this into older kingdoms. But specifically for projects, you can join at any time in their jump phase when they land in Final Kingdom, anytime after. They could be a month, 2, 3 months into Final Kingdom. Doesn't matter. But I'm going to break down exactly why that is. So hang on to your seats. Here we go. As always, before we get started, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment and description down below. Okay. Number one reason why it does not matter when you join a jump project is because we have to look at, well, what is the purpose of doing a jump project? Okay, well, the purpose of doing a jump project, as we've so eloquently worded this a few times already, is you want to be able to have a majority presence, a majority control. You want to be able to go in and manage, support the kingdom in your vision, right? The way that you see building it, especially when you're just someone who started the project from scratch before you even started recruiting. It usually starts with one person, maybe a couple people that are really spearheading the beginning portion. But the idea is that you want to go into a kingdom and essentially build it in your image. And it can be a various amount of different ways. From here, when it comes to the player portion, why it does not matter when you join is because what you're really looking for as a player is to play the game for a long time, right? That's your hope. Your hope is, I really want to get into this. I'd love for this to be an awesome game. I'd love for it to be something I can play for a while. Well, how do you create a good environment for creating that experience that you as the individual can attain? Well, you do that by trying to be a part and join a group that is going to be something you can believe in, something you feel you could play there for a long time, because they have good structure, they have a good way of going about things, they have maybe they have good top-down communication, they update people appropriately, they really seem like they have their shiitake mushrooms together. But how do you figure this out? Well, one of the ways you can do this is by diving in and going to Discords, right? So you might go and take a look, and I'll just give you an example here of some places that you can find projects to check out, right? So if we end up going to, let me full bring this. So if we go here, right, just give you an example, right? This is Chisgle's Discord, right? Very prominently known for having a lot of jumper activity when it comes to where you can go to look for jumpers. Same thing with RoK, right? You can go on the RoK Discord, and even if you go here and you look at everything from recruiting you'll see a bunch of jump projects that are posting here, right? You'll also have other specific kingdoms that are looking to recruit as well, but you're going to find jump projects, right? Just like here. So you would go on these places, and my number one recommendation is to join as many of these servers as possible. Join as many jump projects as possible. You want to really compare and look at which projects meet more of your needs. Pay attention to the announcements they make. Pay attention to how they organize, how they structure. Do they communicate? Do they have meetings? really educate yourself on what projects are good, regardless of when they've started. Sure, would it be ideal for a player to join a project from day one? Of course. But let's say you're doing your research and you're looking for projects that have even already started. But you know what? You're saying to yourself, well, after looking at the field, there really isn't a project that I like as much as this one for the individual. I really would have loved, right, if I still could have joined this, right? And the answer there is you still can. It doesn't matter when you join. The important part is that you find something that you feel has a high percentage chance of being successful. And therefore, because of that, you have a higher chance of playing in that kingdom longer and hopefully being able to have a good experience because of that. As long as you are active, which is kind of point number 3, as long as you're active and you grind or you just play whenever you can, as much as you can, right, if RoK is your main game, you will progress and you will feel good about your progression, more so because you're in a place that hopefully would be allowing you the opportunity to progress freely and also hopefully has a really good social aspect to what they're providing, a good community that you're able to, integrate yourself into, ingratiate yourself in, and enjoy the people that you're playing with. So I always find it funny, when I hear players that say, oh, well, your project already started, you're already 2 or 3 days in, or, you guys are about to jump, I'm looking for somebody that just started. When really, to me, don't get me wrong, right? It's great if you can, but the 4th point here, which is what I'm going to hammer home and just really kill you with, is, in the nicest way, kill them softly, is that you only need a certain amount of players to have, full grind accounts where you're free to play or you spend, but you got in from day one. You only need a bare minimum number of that. Anyone else that joins is just continued icing on the cake. The reason why is because you're already going to have a healthy amount of people that have kind of max jumper accounts or as far as they were able to progress from that range of free to play to spend. And those are going to be kind of the meat and potatoes, if you will, right? The core of the group that goes in. And as long as you have, I think, anywhere from, 100, 2, 3, a couple hundred there, you're fine. And thankfully, when you look at groups, most groups that are running multiple alliances, right, if they have, 400, 500, 600 people they've recruited, there's a good chance they're going to have around that, if not at minimum, that number confirmed for what their final tally is going into Final Kingdom. So anyone else that joins, you will immediately be able to work into one of those alliances that's already established, which is nice, which is going to help with progression. But more importantly, you're going to be able to be a part of a kingdom for the way that it's set up that you really believe in. Now, if you're brand new, and this would be point maybe number 5, if you're brand new to the game and you just don't know that much about what goes into it, then you really have one of 2 options. I think the more likely option there is it's probably okay to join a new project. However, if you're someone who just has, even if you've not played RoK, but you've played other kingdom builders, or maybe you just have, maybe you have the kind of street smarts and that know-how to go into multiple projects and kind of do your comparisons, and really, even if you don't know much about the game, you may know about organization. Maybe you can tell how well a group is organized by maybe the mails that they send out, maybe how they communicate, how they do all of these things within that period. You can kind of discern that as you take time to look. So again, if you ever come across someone who says, oh, well, I really want to start with the project from the beginning, you could send them this video and it will explain that there isn't a need to. However, some players will want to, and that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that, because some players just want to have that like pure, authentic, just I want to be able to have that chance to grind from second 0, right? The moment that we start. And I know, because I was like that once. I had no that was what I thought was the best thing to do. And then as you spend time doing projects, you do multiple jumpers, you start realizing that the true importance really comes from not in the beginning, but how the kingdom will end up. And when you're factoring into that, being a part of something, as I said, you believe in, you see has value and potential, it does not matter how old that kingdom is, in my opinion. It doesn't matter how far along the project is there. You can still join at any time. And so anyways, I mean, and I've had projects where, I've had people that have joined a day, 2, 3, 4, 5 days before we jumped. Multiple people joined after we jumped. They just made a brand new account, didn't even do a jumper. I had people that made accounts, did a jumper, landed in a kingdom that was older than ours, and then just migrated back, I believe, after the kingdom hit 10 days. So after the final kingdom we were in did. And so there are multiple options and ways to navigate how you can be a part of something that you feel is really good for you, the individual. Okay, so I think that pretty much sums up the video. I had a few people ask me about this, and so I thought it would just be good to cover it and really talk a little in depth on what goes into it and how it still can be a great decision, even if you're not able to get in from day one. It doesn't really impact what your long-term ability is. It really only factors into your short-term ability in the beginning when it comes to getting some of these things before you land in the final kingdom. But okay. That's it. I would love to know your thoughts, right? Are you someone who has played in, you've done a couple jumps, maybe you've been a lead in a couple projects, right? Do you feel as well? And I'd love to hear from you. This is my opinion on what I think, and I'd love to know from you, do you feel that it didn't really matter? Or if you're someone who joined a jump days into it, a day before, you joined after they got into Final Kingdom, right? Did you really notice a difference? Or did you find that you had better long-term success because you were able to get into a project that you liked about how they were going to build the kingdom, how they were setting themselves up, how they conducted themselves, and you still found a lot of success because of that, right? Or maybe you didn't on the opposite end, and you joined and maybe the experience wasn't that good because you felt like you were a little bit behind, and maybe you were just never able to catch up regardless of how active you were. I'd love to know anything and everything you guys are thinking in those comments down below. Lastly, that is it for me. Until next time, I'll catch you later.